I was reading a Buffalo News article, and it was about Harris Beach and how they had made a lot of donations to your campaign, and how they also received. The article said about $2 million, but specifically 740,000 to from the IDA that you would encourage the people here to invest in. And then I was just wondering how you felt that was right while you were cutting government employees like at the CSEA at the Rath Building. I was just wondering.
Well, an agency like the ECIDA has to have legal counsel, and they do the bond work. And what we did was a very transparent request for proposal, and we got proposals from several law firms, including the incumbent firm then, which was Hurwitz and Fine.
Okay.
And they were charging $180 an hour, and Harris Beach came in at $150
Yeah,
an hour.
it was like 125 to 175 too, wasn't it?
Right. So
Because the maximum is 180, right?
max would be 180, but what they were really charging.
So they were
was-
doing cheaper.
Right. So
Okay, so it was
we
more cost
saved
efficient.
we saved a substantial amount of money for the agency. The reason that at the end they got more dollars is they put in more hours because we've done more work.
Okay, so there's
So-
more work done. So
The success of the IDA is project, 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 and each project required a certain amount of legal time. But we did it at less per hour. So where it got twisted in the news is that they got more money than the past firm, Hurwitz and Fine.
Yeah.
But it's because they put in
well,
more hours.
they did put in the article that the max was $180 that most firms do, and that Harris Beach had done 170 and 125 too. Also, didn't they do?
No, they never did 175. They were all at 150 and
150.
125.
Okay, 125. Okay, I'm sorry.
They saved over.
I'm going
20
purely off. Like
Sure.
I have some stuff written
Sure.
down.
They
but,
they,
I mean,
they saved over 20%.
And is it true that Harris Beach had given you 100, like not given, but helped you with some lawsuits that you had like $100,000, like they had offered help with your counsel? Or?
Well, sure. We again, when you have to hire outside legal counsel, we would spread that around based on the expertise of any given firm, and their expertise is in the economic development world. And I'd also go back to Hurwitz and Fine had cost this agency a lot of money by setting up an investment as a taxable investment. And the first thing that Harris Beach found was that could be undone, and we could make it a tax, put it in something that was not taxable. And I believe the numbers we got back were over $1 million.
Okay, so you guys actually returned back a profit.
We did.
Okay, so,
Harris Beach, and they also represent 20 or more IDAs across the state. So when you ask them a question, they don't have to go research it. They already know the answer.
Okay.
A firm that wouldn't know the answer would go research it and charge you for the research. So their expertise is doing this kind of work. And the prior firm also had gotten that contract for 18 straight years without any competitive bid whatsoever. And sure enough, it turns out they were 20% high.
See, because I have no problem with them giving you donations. Any company can give any politician campaign donations. That's fine with me. I was just, it just to me as a citizen, it seemed kind of sketchy. I mean that
That's because the Buffalo News never honestly reports anything.
I agree with
you. If the
you.
headline had said, Harris Beach saves taxpayers 20%, finds a situation that saves over $1 million, people would have said, wow, what a great selection. And and also, I'm one vote out of 19. It's not my choice.
You're not just sitting here like, okay, well, we're going to invest in this company.
No, there's 19 people on the
there's
board.
equal power.
And you need 10 votes.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, I would never.
But the Buffalo News put it as though it was my selection.
Well, they described it as though you had influenced them a lot, influenced the board a lot.
See, the Buffalo News had a 4-year agenda. They
I agree
distorted
with you.
they distorted everything from the Department of Justice lawsuit to the suicide situations at the jail.
Well, the suits they are pretty bad though at the jail.
No, they're not.
They're not.
Here's the difference. The statistics come out of what's called a static facility. That's where, like out in Alden, somebody goes there. They're there 9 months. They're there for an extended period of time. And out in Alden, I'm not sure if we've had even one suicide there in 20 years. Downtown, they did the statistics based on the number of beds. There's 800 beds.
Okay.
But there's 24,000 prisoners that go through there. So the proper denominator is not 800. it's 24,000. And they used static facility statistics against a dynamic holding center where people are churning every day.
I see what you're saying.
And all of
24,000 people aren't always there.
No, but there's 24,000 opportunities for suicide
Okay.
versus 800. Think of that. That's 30 times. So over let's say there was one suicide a year. To say that was out of line with the statistics based on 24,000 opportunities. 24,000 different people could have committed suicide,
Yeah, I see what you're
and
saying.
one did. Well, they used 800 as the denominator.
So it increases the ratio.
30 to 1.
Yeah, I
this is the
agree.
Buffalo News. Deliberate distortion.
No,
of facts.
I
Deliberate.
definitely agree with you on the Buffalo News.
And they would never let the real story get out.
Did you catch the story about Chris Simantz? I'm with Occupy Buffalo. I don't represent it. I'm an autonomous citizen. I'm Anthony
Yeah.
Bainey. But did you catch the story about Chris Simantz when they were trying to say that he had not served in Iraq? It was an article by Steve Watson. No? Okay, well, they pretty much tried saying...
Well, Steve Watson's never said anything that's accurate.
I'm glad that you said that because I agree with you.
He's a
on that.
racist.
He's a racist? I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh, yeah, he is the most racist reporter that's
Like
ever
not even
reported.
hidden racism, like blatant
Oh,
racism?
blatant. Oh, absolutely blatant.
That's-
Go read 5 of his articles, and 6 of his articles, and you'd go, oh my God, this guy writes for the Buffalo News?
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to ask you, I had attended the Erie County legislative hearing about the CSCA workers at the Rath Building, and a lot of them are facing losing their jobs. How do you feel about that?
Well,
What's the reasoning? I'm sorry.
we should have efficiency in government
I agree.
because we taxpayers have to pay all those salaries, and they get lifetime health insurance. They get 20 weeks of paid time off, 20 weeks of paid time off a year, making a big wage. So,
Well, don't most of them make about $40,000 a year?
what?
Don't most of them make $40,000 a year?
Yeah, but they only work 32 weeks.
So they get 20 weeks off. I mean,
Yeah.
so do teachers.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's insanity.
I don't really believe so. I mean,
All right, but
it's
if I
like
don't
the
need a
same as
person,
teaching.
why should the taxpayers have them?
If you don't need, I understand what you're saying. So it's
So
it's
we
wasteful
brought
and fraud.
efficiency.
Well, it's not fraud. It's wasteful.
We brought efficiency to government through technology.
But aren't the services that they provide going to get cut a little bit?
No, not at all. We've increased efficiencies to the point the backlogs are gone. We're able to do more because we've used technology. Now, that's just like today when you call somebody, don't you usually get an answering machine now and press 1 and a press 2? Well, that technology replaced the need for the person. You may not like it, but it did.
But that's the thing, though.
So scanning documents, a lot of these jobs we now scan the document when it comes in. You never have to make a copy. You never have to move the copies around the
It's all
building.
online.
And at the end, you don't have to file it because it's all been scanned in one time.
Which is way more efficient, I agree.
And if somebody comes in now, we get the data, and instead of saying, go here to apply for food stamps, and go here to apply for heating assistance, and to go here to apply for temporary assistance, and go here for daycare, we call it one and done. You come in, here's who's in your household, here's what your income is, here's the birth certificates, the pay stubs, and everything else to validate the data. Boom, the computer goes out.
Yeah, instead
with-
of having to go
with
to
an-
a file cabinet and bring up...
well, the computer goes out, and we have a rules engine that we develop with the algorithms to come out and say, okay, you qualify for subsidized daycare, this amount of temporary assistance, this amount of food stamps, and so forth and so on. That replaced a huge amount of people and made it more efficient because now as the person coming in, you get an instant answer.
Well, did you see the line outside of the heap, though? I mean, that's what I'm talking about, though, some of the services.
Well, and that was the one we were going to bring that efficiency into first.
Okay. But, I mean, don't you feel that cutting workers would make that line longer?
We didn't cut them any.
Or? Okay, but that's what I'm talking about, though. I mean, like, that, if you cut those workers...
No, because we're bringing in technology
I see
to
what you're
do
saying.
it more efficiently. The queues were down to nothing. People used to wait 6 months for an answer. They don't do that anymore. It's just basic efficiencies we brought in. And that, to me, we should have a government that's properly sized, as efficient as possible to keep taxes down.
I agree.
It's not our job because somebody needs a job to just give them a job. If they can't be, if we don't need them,
I see what you're saying.
that's no more complicated than that. Efficiency.
I agree. So, do you believe that the private sector plays a more important role than government jobs?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you
Those are the jobs that matter.
Do you think throughout history that that's always been true?
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this: during the World War II, we had we had factories that would produce the arms and manufacturing. How much do you think that a CEO of that company made more money than the administrative leader of the WPA?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, like, just take a guess. I would say. I mean, like the CEO of an arms manufacturer.
Yeah, I would think so.
You would think so. Okay.
Yeah.
If you compare the workers of the WPA and the workers of the arms manufacturing dealer, who do you think would make more money to the worker?
I have no idea, but it should be the private company, but it may well have been the government employee.
Yeah, and that's why I like to say that, maybe government jobs are better. I feel that you can, like we came here to the IDA board. We could sit and listen. We could talk to people afterwards. I can't go to General Motors and hold their director, their board of governors responsible to anything.
Oh, but they're a private company.
Well, that's my point, though.
So I don't know what your point is.
My point is that the WPA, who also did a lot of good work.
Sure, but it comes back to competition works.
Okay.
Competition is a good thing.
Government agencies don't compete?
No, they don't.
Not
Like our
ever.
highway department doesn't compete against them.
That's true, okay.
Our social services department doesn't compete against them. That's the whole problem. School teachers don't compete against each other. Competition is a good thing.
Well, schools kind of do. Districts kind of do. Don't they get funding for better? No.
So my point is competition works. And in the private sector, somebody offers a service at a price they think's fair, and if you don't like it, don't buy their product.
Yeah, don't buy their product.
Go buy it from somebody else.
I agree with you.
So, and what they serve their shareholders, and the shareholders elect the board of directors who set the management structure and the compensation. And people may not like it, but I don't hear them complaining about how much money A-Rod makes, or Ryan Fitzpatrick just got paid, or Ryan Miller.
Okay, so you're talking about entertainment versus.
It's competition. It's competition.
I see what you're saying.
If you're not worth the money, you won't get the money.
I agree
If
with
you
that.
are worth the money and the shareholders are willing to pay it, they own the company.
I just believe that government actually sometimes does a better job at doing things. For example,
I don't know.
I mean the highway department. That's a good example.
Yeah, but we could do it cheaper if we privatized
Private?
it. Oh, absolutely.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. You kidding me? They get 20 weeks off. Tell me somebody in the private sector that only works 32 weeks a year. You got to take the wages and divide it by the amount of time they work. I don't think there's anything in government that can't be done more efficiently in the private sector. But under the union rules, you can't privatize it.
Well, let's look at
I gotta run
space.
here.
Okay, well let's look at space though. I mean, Russia has always had a better space agency than we have.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, they've had more
Doesn't even exist,
minute. They've
really.
had more minute. They've had more minutes in space than we have. I know that for a fact. I've read a book on that.
They also had a lot more people die.
Oh, I agree. But haven't we killed people too? Maybe not exactly our government, but the police officers have definitely killed people. I mean, we've even had Supreme Court cases of cops killing people. Tennessee versus Gardner.
People act up all the time.
I'm just saying though.
I got to run.
All right, take it easy, man.
Okay.